Coming in like an S-class hooker, OSHA is one of those agencies that'll put a dent in your bank account, just strutting through the door demanding that not only you pay for any rule you've broken, but you also pay for their cab fare. We're putting Deeprock Galactic under the magnifying glass today to see how this vaguely criminal organization fares against the open legs of the law. Spoiler alert, we are OSHA.
Yes, indeed, and we hope you've been mining a hell of a lot of gold, because you're gonna need it.
Wait. Who are you guys?
Look here, we just said we're OSHA, dumbass.
Who's he?
Debt collector Terry, don't worry about him. Yet. Now, the first step in our investigation is walking around the facility here. That'd be with me, my coworker, and the debt collector. Our goal is to mark each and every hazard and non-compliant materials or paraphernalia. We'll be noting down each and every violation present here.
Now, there are 6 types of violations that all carry different fines and punishments. These range from de minimis to repeated. There are categories in between, such as serious and failure to abate. Of course, we can only do guesswork for right now on what the maximum amount of fines that will be levied against Deeprock. We will be starting off with the typical OSHA travel costs, since of course we are already here.
Wait, what? Travel costs?
Now, considering that this is a near-empty portion of space that is extremely hazardous to all life, to the point that the only things that come here are robots and people from your company, we can start the fines with a cool, even 1 million credits.
1 million credits? What the hell? Holy shit, no, that's absurd. We're not paying that.
You better calm down, boy. I ain't just a debt collector. I'm a bodyguard too, and you got a nice set of purty lips for jail. I'd be careful if I were you.
Yeah, relax. We still cover 25 credits a day in talking fees. It'll be fine.
Fucking what?
Yeah, you heard me correctly. No worries. Now, judging by the look of this place, it's going to be a very long day for you. In an effort to keep better record keeping, let's look over some of the major violations before we look into some of the more minor ones present here on this space rig.
Yes, and now we move on to a quote-unquote barrel-kicking game where we have this hoop on the wall being pushed back and forth by pistons and a barrel dispenser with a barrel underneath it. I don't see any labels or warnings of any sort around this sketchy setup we have here. Would you care to explain what's going on here?
Oh, yeah. You kind of just kick the barrels across the gap into the hoop to score points. The guys love it.
So, what you're saying is there are no guardrails to stop either a 40-pound barrel from falling on your head or stop someone from tripping and falling into the barrel disintegrator. Now, tell me, has anyone ever fallen into this hoop of yours?
Well, there was that one time.
So yes, that is breaking the 4-foot rule. At least one employee has died, and there is also a complete lack of safety railings, stopping at least 2 incidents of bodily harm, resulting in at least 2 serious violations and a repeated violation.
Hey, Terry, about what is the total right now?
Alright, boss. We got 1 serious violation. We'll put him 7,000 credits back. We'll have a willful and repeat violation. We'll put him that combined 200,000 credits back. So, just so far.
Yes, lots of money. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the elevators. Now, I caught a glimpse of them and almost had a stroke, but we need you to confirm just how exactly these elevators work?
And alright, so you're telling me that there are no gates or doorways blocking this hydraulic slab of metal? Not only that, but there are absolutely no warning labels, not even a warning crushing hazard label?
So, when this place was being built, no one decided to think about what would happen if someone took a little drink and decided they wanted to go upstairs. Following that, they walk over to the elevator and stand right in that little pit of death, completely oblivious to what's going to happen to them next.
The elevator has lights.
Now that is some nice RGB to sell to pay up later.
Well, let's see here. You violated the 4-foot rule again, failed to provide any safety guards or doors for the elevator, and stop me if I am wrong here, but I am assuming none of these were inspected within the last year?
No, we had a guy check it out recently.
Bitch, who? Bitch, where?
One of our maintenance folks, Hank.
And do you remember this man at all? Now, if that's true, you'd be operating with grease, oil, possibly propane, and all of this within, let's see, 200 feet of the bar, breaking OSHA sanitation standards, not allowing employees to drink or consume food near toxic areas. So, which charge would you like? Would you rather have lying to an OSHA employee or breaking OSHA sanitation standards?
Oh, and you're stuck here. You are getting one or the other. The fist or the bat. Pick one.
It's not really. I just work here. Come on.
Hey, don't die here. I still need to figure out where I'm getting all the money from, and I'd rather be from someone close at hand.
Speaking of finding things, where are all the exit signs? Emergency doors. In fact, where are the life pods at all? And actually, come to think of it, how did we even get in here?
That's an amazing question. Terry, how did we get here?
Last I remember, we went through one of them side hatches over yonder. Don't think about it too much, boss.
Alright, well, now let's just do a quick lightning round of a few more questions that we need to ask. First of all, why is there multiple examples of sparks commonly flying from machinery all over the place? Meaning that none of these machines are properly maintained. On top of that, why is there hazardous materials such as propane and gasoline in the living areas? Speaking of living areas, we have notes here that during the Roxpox incident, there were multiple examples, including on guns and other gear, living infectious creatures. Lastly, on this subject, can you show me 1, your beer license to sell alcohol, and 2, the typical in-between periods of cleaning anything that comes out of the robot bartender? AKA, how often do you clean anything in here?
Well, first off, all machines around the space rig are maintained by trained and qualified dwarves that work for our company. As for hazardous material and equipment, that is the dwarves' personal choice to keep certain items inside of their rooms. Any of all notes and incidents during the Rockpot crisis were made second priority to the destroyed space rig during the same time. As for the beer license, I will have to show you that later, and the typical clean periods are unknown to me, but should be done regularly.
Well, then that means we can swiftly move on to part 2 of our operation here. So we won't go through every little bit of fines currently. Now, without adding any additional fines, you are still at the previously stated amount of exactly 178,259 credits. That is, of course, not including the 1 million credit fee for us getting here in the first place. So looking at each of your workers, and what you just got done saying, can you give me names and records of any quote-unquote qualified service members?
Well, typically at Deeprock Galactic, we have employed a don't ask, don't tell approach to hiring practices. We believe in taking a dwarf by his word after all. A person is only worth the promise they give and upkeep. So we don't have many or any documentation on the people who work under us. However, we have the verbal bond that they fully know how to do their job and other services stated in their contract. I would say that you should ask each employee for said documentation and details, but I'm sorry to say that each of them have signed an NDA and they are not allowed to disclose DRG information.
You realize that NDA is the same legal standing of a 13-year-old signing away her legal rights of having legs just to go to Disneyland. You can't just have a document that says don't talk to government officials.
Shit, son, you'd have a better chance of getting pregnant from my boot making love to your ass.
Moving on, do you have any other questions beside the workers?
Oh yes, we absolutely do, but they still include the workers. You are very much not done with that yet. Now, since we have qualified members in this space rig, can you tell me where is the material, and when were they briefed on that material? That material being the fire safety training, the emergency safety training, the OSHA safety training, any requirements on housekeeping standards, nearly any, and I mean any, safety or warning signs on literally anything here at all. There is not even a breathalyzer test to see if the workers are sober enough to be wielding firearms. In fact, it seems to be actively encouraged to be drunk while they are on a mission.
Well, I can answer that. They've never been briefed on any material safety or otherwise. Emergency safety and training are likely words that do not exist in their vocabulary. Their housekeeping standards are, if I'm not dead, it must not be a problem. Last but not least, making them drink watered piss of a beer for $5 and having at least one of them get killed as a result is cheaper than paying their salary.
Hey, good job, Terry. I'm willing to bet you're right on the money. So let's go over it all. We have no training whatsoever. If there's a fire, they're screwed. If there's any type of emergency, they're screwed. There's no qualified people, not even instructors. Given the crippling mortality rate of this business, I doubt there's more than a handful of any veteran employees, especially given the handicap imposed on them. In fact, we actually have a small list right here, not even supplying them oxygen in lower oxygen areas, not supplying anyone with vacuum cleaners on haunted cave missions, and finally the unique handicap of sending only 4 dwarves at a time on each mission.
Well, you see, our stockbrokers at the time determined the optimal choice of team was 4. Yes, we may encourage our employees to drink, including before missions, but these alcohols give you special abilities that help you in missions, erasing any risk from impairment. On top of that, we have notified our employees of any hazards on the mission before they undertake it.
Alright, so, did you just hear that? He admitted right there to not following protocol in providing an environment of at least 19.5% oxygen, giving them a robot they have to follow around in order to breathe. On top of that, refusing to handle any employer responsibilities, including monitoring exposure, hazard communication, conducting any type of inspection on the fatalities here, and lastly, completely disregarding the right to refuse work. That means that if the employee believes there's a chance for harm or death, they are legally allowed to refuse work. A few more notes being, while not expressly illegal, these workers are put on a ship where the only thing they can really buy is alcohol, clothes, and bacon. This makes this place a technical temporary labor camp by our standards that is being run highly unethically. This also means that there are many rules related to a labor camp that are actively being broken.
Oh, and by the way, here's the definition of a labor camp, in case you disagree. Required employer-provided housing due to company policy or practice necessarily renders such housing a term or condition of employment. And here are the rules you break. Number 1, sleeping quarters shall contain at least 50 square feet of floor space and a 7-foot ceiling. Number 2, beds and storage facilities shall be provided. Such facilities shall not be spaced closer than 36 inches from each other. Number 3, the floors of each shelter shall be constructed of wood, asphalt, or concrete. Your floors are metal, so you broke that as well.
You allow concrete but not metal? What?
Quit your complaining, boy. You broke the rules.
I didn't know the rule!
Ignorance does not absolve you of the crime.
This is true, Terry. An ignorant lawbreaker is still a lawbreaker. We'll just say you've broken several different laws involving any type of restroom since we cannot find any nearby facilities. Now don't worry, because I believe that is pretty much all of it. In the first sweep, anyways.
Oh, thank God. That means y'all gonna leave, right?
Yes, but not before we do one more thing. We must total your tally of what you're going to pay us through Terry here.
So looking here at our notes, we are at a grand total of 31 citations. Some are other than serious, but most are serious, and a few are also willful. Oh, and you also committed a crime, just outright. That's like, we need to call the cops now. But each of these categories carry their own fines and possible jail time. We'll start off with your non-serious ones.
Yes, and those being the elevator shaft's weight limit and having rooms technically too close. Don't worry, since we'll already be taking house, home, and most likely your liberty from you. We'll impose the minimum cost for non-serious violations, that being 0 credits. You're welcome, this is on the house. Nothing else is though.
Oh, thanks?
He's not done talking, bitch.
Well,
Anyways, we have to separate serious fines revolving around guardrails. Specifically, this is for the barrel dispenser and incinerator. Both count as failure to machine guard, possibly resulting in death or injury, since no precautions were made, and this is 2 incidents in the exact same area. We'll be counting one as serious and the other as repeated. The first one holding a violation fee of 11,524 credits, and the second one holding 161,323 credit fine.
Looking on me tablet here, going to the medicalfuturist.com, in Space America, a human heart is worth about 1 million credits. So if you have one of those to give up, that'll cover our initial travel fees. And if you give up one of your kidneys, that's priced around 262,000 credits. You'll have enough to pay these fines and a little bit into the next round of fines. Additionally, if you have 18,000 inches of human skin, you also have a bit more than enough money to pay off these fines, especially, which, if you want to know, that's a bit less than 1/3 of a mile of flesh, and I forgot to say, it's 10 credits an inch.
Alrighty, now after that we go into 4 counts of failing to provide falling protection. 1 count for each of the elevators, and 2 counts for the barrel kicker. For starters, leaving an open railing to fall directly into the force field is not good. Just another as well for not putting any fall protection for the barrels, and as weird as it may sound to you people, you cannot just drop 30 to 40 pound barrels onto walkways. This puts you at 3 serious and another repeated. Each of the serious infractions carry a fine of 16,131 credits exactly, and another 161,131 credits for the repeated.
Alright, so that comes to a combined 209,000 credits. That right there comes to the price of about 1 kidney on the low end, so a bad quality kidney which goes for about 50 grand. Now, pair that up with a good liver, which goes for about 145,000 credits, and since you're just a little bit short, we'll also need 3 eyeballs for 1,500 credits, and 1 stomach for 500. Now, that puts you 9,000 credits short. That could be put on the house as well, if we're feeling generous.
what? Why are you listing organs? We have gold and other things, you know. We aren't just gonna cut off my limbs.
You might have to once we're done with you, boy. How thick is that wallet?
Now, looking over a significant amount of them, I feel as though we can just go ahead and lump them together. You have failed on nearly every account of sanitation, which accounts for about 6 different violations, that being drinking water, having access to water at all, failure to provide toilets, gendered toilets, or even showers, a possible charge for gender discrimination considering there's no women here, 2 counts of failure to maintain equipment considering the sparks flying around here, 5 different failures to provide adequate temporary labor camps, putting people in the equivalent of coffins that provide little to any worker's rights or freedom. We decided to be extremely nice to you and stop counting at about 6 for lack of training and warnings in any regard. That's not to mention not providing adequate oxygen to employees in certain areas, having them follow around a robot just to breathe, and because your employees cannot just buy a beer license for you to prove you have one, I'm not even sure you should be selling alcohol at all.
Yeah, mind you, that is not exactly something we can fine you for, but it is outright against the law as a whole. This combines into 6 more serious, 13 more willful, and 1 gross misdemeanor. As we have said before, each series adds an additional 16,131 credits to your total. Times that by 6 now, and you get a total of 96,786 credits for that. Now, of course, we are adding together the 13 willful, which are each priced at a maximum fine, as stated before, of 161,131 credits. Times that by 13, and we get a little over 2 million credits. The exact being 2,094,703. Adding that with the previous fines of 262,000, another 209,000, and adding together the travel cost, we will need 3,565,703 credits total.
Better get ready to pay up, friend. I didn't go over every organ, just letting you know your lungs can go for a nice healthy 290,000, and your pancreas can go up to 140,000 credits, alongside your freshly dead body being 550,000 credits.
Okay, what the hell even happened today? Who invited you people?
We are not obligated to disclose that information. The complaint was filed completely anonymously. Anyways, I hope you are able to pay these fines in a nice and orderly manner. Otherwise, we'll be forced to shut down all of these operations until any cited violations are fully attended to, and all rules and regulations are adhered to.
We thank you for your cooperation in this endeavor. We completed our inspection and are now finally ready to get out of your hair. At least until the next inspection, which I imagine will be fairly soon, I would say. Now, is there anything you would like to say, Terry?
Well, if you want to pay in anything other than organs, you can mine 1,782,851.5 gold nuggets. Now, by the way, that is just by yourself. That is not including paying your employees. At least one to leave off on. You can go into a cave with maximum complexity and length doing an elimination mission, killing 3 eggs. Not including any of the costs, just pretending that you magically get this money each mission. All you need to do is kill about 1,272, rounded up, of course, for dreadnoughts. And then you should have enough money to pay us off by then.
Well, anyways, we shall take our leave now. I hope corporate will enjoy this video just as much as we enjoyed making it.